안녕하세요, 여러분. 잘 지내셨나요? 오늘은 여러분에게 습관에 관한 이야기를 해드리려고 합니다. 여러분, 습관하면 떠오르는 책이 있으신가요? 네, 많은 분들이 바로 아주 작은 습관의 힘을 떠올리실 것 같아요. 제임스 클리어가 작가였죠. 저 또한 이 책을 읽고 많은 영감을 받았습니다. 오늘은 이 책을 기반으로 습관에 관한 이야기를 영어로 해드리려고 합니다. 여러분 잘 들어보세요. Alright, before we really begin, I want you to do something simple with me. Wherever you are right now, maybe you are driving, maybe you are walking, maybe you are just sitting with your headphones on. I want you to slow down just a little. Because this episode is not about forcing change. It's not about becoming a brand new person overnight. And it's definitely not about blaming yourself for what you haven't done yet. Today, I want to talk to you about something much quieter, much more ordinary, and yet incredibly powerful. Your habits. Not the big, dramatic moments of your life, not the days where everything goes perfectly, but the small things you repeat every day without really thinking. The way you start your morning, what you do when you feel stressed, what you reach for when you are tired, and how you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. If you've ever wondered, why do I know what I should do, but still struggle to do it? Then this conversation is for you. Because this isn't about motivation or discipline, it's about understanding how change actually works. Most of us grow up believing that our lives change because of big decisions. We think life changes when we finally make up our mind, when we get serious, when we feel inspired enough to act. But when you look closely at real life, that's not how things usually unfold. Life is mostly made up of very ordinary days, repeated again and again. And what shapes those days isn't one bold decision. It's the habits we fall back on automatically. The things we do when we are tired, the choices we make when no one is watching, the routines we follow even on days when we don't feel our best. Each habit feels small in the moment, almost too small to matter. But over time, those small actions begin to stack up. They shape our health, they shape our confidence, they shape the kind of person we slowly become. Habits don't need to be impressive to be powerful. They just need to be repeated. Here is one idea that completely changes how we think about habits. Most people try to change by focusing on outcomes. They say things like, I want to lose weight, or I want to be successful, or I want to feel confident. But outcomes are actually the surface level of change. The deeper level is identity. It's how you see yourself. It's the quiet answer to the question, what kind of person am I? Every habit you practice, even the smallest one, is a vote for the type of person you believe you are. When you read a few pages, you are not just reading, you are becoming someone who values learning. When you go for a short walk and when you don't feel like it, You are not just exercising, you are becoming someone who takes care of yourself. Real change doesn't happen when habits feel like something you should do. It happens when they begin to feel like something that simply reflects who you are becoming. One of the most freeing things to understand is this: habits are not a moral issue. They are not a sign that you are weak, lazy, or broken. Habits follow a pattern. Something in your environment triggers a behavior. That behavior satisfies a need: comfort, relief, pleasure, distraction, and your brain remembers that reward. That's it. This is why willpower alone rarely works for long. If your environment makes unhealthy habits easy and healthy habits difficult, then even the best intentions are constantly fighting an uphill battle. Change becomes easier not when you try harder, but when you design your life so the right behaviors are easier to repeat. Let's talk about building good habits in a way that actually fits real life. Not an ideal version of you, not the version of you who never gets tired or busy, the real you. First, the good habits need to be obvious. If something stays out of sight, it usually stays out of mind. So, instead of relying on motivation, you gently design your environment to remind you of what matters. Second, habits need to feel attractive. We repeat what feels good. So, when you attach enjoyment, meaning, or even a sense of calm to a habit, your brain stops resisting it and starts leaning into it. Third, and this is important, habits need to be easy, especially at the beginning. Consistency will always beat intensity. A habit you can do on your worst days is far more powerful than a perfect plan you can't maintain. And finally, habits need to feel satisfying. Your brain learns through immediate feedback. Noticing progress, even small progress, is what turns repetition into identity. Bad habits often come with a lot of guilt, but guilt rarely creates lasting change. Most bad habits didn't start because you were careless. They started because they helped you cope with stress, boredom, loneliness, or exhaustion. They worked, at least for a moment. The goal isn't to judge yourself. The goal is to understand. When you remove the triggers that make a bad habit easy, when you increase the effort required to repeat it, and when you become honest about the cost of continuing it, that habit slowly begins to lose its power. Letting go of a bad habit isn't about punishment. It's about choosing a future that aligns better with who you want to become. If you want to apply everything we've talked about today, here's a simple place to start. First, decide who you want to become, not in dramatic terms, but in everyday behavior. Second, choose one small habit that supports that identity. Make it so small that you can do it even when life feels messy. Third, design your environment so the right choice feels natural and the wrong choice feels inconvenient. And finally, show up consistently without demanding perfection. Trust that repetition is doing more work than motivation ever could. One day, you will look back and realize something important. Your life didn't change because of one big breakthrough moment. It changed because you started honoring small habits that once felt too simple to matter. Those habits were shaping you quietly, patiently, and steadily long before you noticed the results. You are not behind, you are not failing, you are becoming, one small habit at a time. Thank you for spending this time with me. Okay. 여러분, 잘 들으셨나요? 여기에서는 이제 우리가 습관을 어떻게 만들지, 그리고 습관으로 만들면 좋은 점에 대해서 말하고 있는데요. 여러분들 모두 좋은 습관 만드시고 또 나쁜 습관은 없애셔서 여러분의 삶이 정말 풍성하고 또 굉장히 멋진 삶이 되시길 바랍니다. Bye bye. Thank you for your listening.